we go. Welcome back to another weekly recap from the Montreal Canadiens with the hockey coach, Coach Francis Reclay, for the beautiful country of Thailand on amazing great Sunday night, March 16. St. Patrick tomorrow, by the way, 2025. Of course, going to talk about the Montreal Canadiens tonight. And I don't know you all like me, but look like it's the time in Montreal. The spring is coming, and the playoff fever is also Montreal. Maybe Saturday night, the game against the Florida Panthers was the biggest moment for all the fans and the young team players for the Montreal Canadiens to know exactly what it looked like a playoff in Montreal. And you can see the atmosphere was at the top at the Bell Center with the wave, the holly holly, and all these fans stand up after the big save of Montembeault with the glove at a Carey Price. If you are too young about Carey Price or too old, you can remember Gum Worsley. It was like that. But him, he was stopped the puck more with the belly. It was rebound on his glove. That's the difference between Worsley and Carey Price at the end of the day. But what a great game for the Montreal Canadiens. So we're going to get that far to you guys. How do you feel about the Montreal Canadiens with 16 games to go? 1 point behind the New York Rangers for the playoff spot. The Rangers play right now. Yeah, 7 games in NHL. The Rangers tied the game 1-1 against Edmonton Oilers. Detroit win today 3-0. Shock the Vegas Golden Knights. The Blues take the lead 2-0 against the Ducks. The Blues right now on the push to make a playoff spot. And the Panthers lead 1-0 against the New York Islanders. So going to give you all the situation happening in NHL tonight. And of course, NCAA Sam Harris for the Prospect Montreal Canadiens is right now on the game number 3 of the best of the 3 against a college, Colorado College. I'm going to give you an update. Tyler Thorpe is in action right now. They don't have 0 point. And everything you need to know what happening for the Montreal last week. What is coming from the Montreal Canadiens? This is a show to be every Sunday night at 8:30. Or sometimes we start 8:34 because the NR talk too much in the green room. And that's the reason we are late all the time. Me, I'm already ready. It's NR with all the talk, blah, 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 about what's going on with him. So that's the reason we are late. But without them, it would be impossible to have a great show. And they are back in the house. They are sit at hometown in Toronto. Someone maybe back at home at the Nova Scotia. And without them, it would be impossible to have the greatest show of the weekly report. And they are ready to rock and roll. Zero-Clip on Toronto, Mr. Nartap. Zero-Clip on Nova Scotia. He's back in the house, Mr. Devin. Welcome back, both of you, at the Hockey Nation tonight. See? And Nartap don't talk anymore. Yeah, we zip him.
La bouche.
We zip him for the next 90 minutes. It'll be maybe a good thing about that. But we'll see, Mr. Nartap. Always a pleasure to see you. And Mr. David. David, back at home. I think you traveled, right? It's only week, I believe. Mr. David, you went from somewhere to go back home?
Yeah, I was in Cape Breton for last weekend, visiting my parents-in-law. And then I was in the North Shore of Nova Scotia this weekend, visiting my mother. So it's March break. My wife is a school counselor, so she had the week off. So we took the opportunity to visit our parents. And tonight I'm home, Sunday night, and tomorrow school starts again. So my wife goes back to school, and I go back to work.
Was it spring break over there?
Yeah, March break. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the March.
So now step 2?
Yes, sir. And March break, and now we're getting ready to go back.
Are you a full-time teacher or you are a supplant teacher? Or part-time?
Well, I actually retired, but now I'm back. I was brought back in on a special assignment to work with some of the schools and some of the kids that are at risk of doing poorly in math. So are you
only on the math side, or are you teaching in language or
only math? Only math at high school level, yes.
So did you get some assignment to be take the spot for a couple of weeks of Justin Trudeau, or have you been in that area, or not at all?
Thanks.
Politically, you're not doing it, right?
No politics for me.
There we go.
So, I can't bear being in that atmosphere. It's such
by the
a
way,
joke
Barkov scored a goal at the Florida Panthers take the lead 2-0 against the New York Islanders, so that's the good news about that. Without them, it would be impossible to have a show, because us, we bring contents. We sharing opinion. But them, they are in the chat, and they are the reason why the growth of this channel We have approximately 50 subs to get 9,000. So we want to say thank you so much, everybody. We are grateful, thankful to have all of you with us every single night. Many of them come back every night, like the co-hosts, talk about their favorite team, the Bleu Blanc Rouge, the Montreal Canadiens. So Sandeman is in the house. Billy is back. Luciano Graziano sit at home and said, I know what's coming. I know it's coming. I know. I believe it's not going to happen again. 19677 to add one more year. So we have to wait one more year because it's not going to happen again. We don't have any freaky goalie right now. Can be goalie number one. I don't know what's going on with the league, but Luciano is in the house, Mr. Nartap. Zev Lecab is in the house. Did coach fall asleep? Oh no, Zev. I am fire right now. Be careful because I'm going to rock and roll the show, Zev, like you never see before. Because right now I have the favor of the Montreal Canadiens playoff spot wild card. I'm going all in after I predict them 78 points to 82 points. I'm going to be wrong. I can't accept to be wrong. I'm wrong a lot of time. It's all because Mr. Nartap give me all the bad number and I make a prediction from his assessment and I'm wrong about that. And we know Devin, he does not like predictions. So we don't ask him about who's going to be there because he likes the facts. And that's happening with Devin. So LDP is in the house with the Buffalo Sabres. Abination is in the house. He keep that number, Mr. Devin like the Bible. Welcome back, Mr. Sebastien. No number tonight, Mr. Sebastien. Welcome. PLW back in the house, Mr. BLW. What's going on with you? Let's go with Neither Raider tonight for the weekday. Just 4.5. And Patrick Laine under the bus in the last week. Send the 9. ODR is in the house, Billy. And then we have Love Dogs like this. Love Dogs. Dogs is great. Pizza knocked it all back in the house. And then we have Luciano. Gary Cornoyer. Patrick Laine changed the Habs season. I'm not agree with you at all, Mr. Patrick PLL. It's Laine Hudson. You can tell me every player in this planet. Laine Hudson transformed the Montreal Canadiens since the beginning of the season. We're going to talk about this a bit later. Gary Cornoyer back in the house. Had a good weekend. No driver, nothing. But my truck will be ready tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. with all delivery of the UPS. The best driver around the world. David back in the house. Welcome back, David. Thanks for being part of the show tonight. And then when we got Arber Xhekaj back with a sport and update from New Jersey. Have a lot of bad weather on the east side of the USA, I believe, the last couple of days. We wish the best, and some people was not very good about that. And then we have Bart. Welcome back. Bart is in the house tonight. Hopefully doing well. And then we have Abination. Makwanabi knocked the door. Welcome back. He's watching the watching the New York Rangers and Marco. Danny T. Moderator back in the house somewhere around the New Orleans and Ontario, not New Orleans. Singing. Imagine Danny in our tap at New Orleans right now in Louisiana. What do you look like the open street?
I think he's on a tour right now. He's singing his heart out in the beautiful state of Louisiana there, and just taking the crowd by storm.
He looked like he's negotiating right now with Johnny Cash for the Superdome show at New Orleans in front of the Saint fans at the opening NFL next season. So we have to wait about contract, but Luciano is the agent, right? So Luciano negotiate. He take time. Luciano is too busy. But he said, Danny, take a time. Don't worry. I'm going to fix that problem. Excel is in the house. Welcome back, Excel. And then who we got here in the chat? Larry Lavallee, Mr. Nartap is back in the house. Ellen Keeve. Now, we never know where Ellen is. She's sometimes Ontario, sometimes Newfoundland. She's a nurse traveler. So hopefully you're doing well. You love you Montreal Canadiens. Ellen, hopefully you're doing a great situation. I think the little one have now 2-3 months now, I believe. Her daughter got a baby a couple of months ago. So I wish the mom and the little one very good. And then we have Tristan Filion. I play up odds one from 7 to 19 with the last night one. That's great to hear that. Tristan Filion, welcome in the house. I believe it's the first time. If you are, welcome in the family. If it's not, welcome back. And Rabinoff is in the house. We got David again, Danny, Tucker, and Laine is a beauty. He's a well capitalized on his pass. He will have 100 points already. Coach with the fresh pop culture reference. Johnny Cash been dead for 10 years. I missed a couple of years, Mr. Nartap, on that fun music town about that.
Ever since you went to Thailand, that's it.
It was funny
You've
because
been out of touch.
my first reaction was Toby Keith. I said, he's just dead. He's died a couple of weeks, a month ago. So I would go Johnny Cash. But I'm still thinking about Polly Porton or Donnie Porton, whatever she is. But nothing to beat Shania Twain, Mr. I'm sorry. But
Shania Twain, yes.
Shania Twain was the best of the best about this. And sport tennis. Are you an expert, Devin, in tennis? Are you some knowledgeable about tennis, women's side?
Not an expert. I know a little bit about it, but I'm not an expert.
No, I cannot remember her second name. But Gabriela
Sabatini.
She was the one, Mr. Nartap. I put with Shania Twain, the top female, and my sport tennis. Gabriela, once she play.
Are we talking
I didn't
about
watch the ball along. I wasn't the guy doing this. I was doing the same site watching what was going on over there on the tennis. But I don't know too much about tennis. But listen, I give my best to give you. And you can see how far up we are tonight, guys, because this is the reason why the Montreal are looking great. The Montreal big ones during the weekend. Again, the Panthers. But before that, here we go. Well, rouge, le Canadien.
C'est dans notre sang, dans nos cœurs, notre tradition, notre honneur. Le Canadien, c'est tout, c'est une partie
de nous. Bleu, blanc, rouge. Le Canadien. Are you with Mr. Nartap? Are you really talking about the Montreal Canadiens? Because what a great game happening on the weekend. Maybe the best game of the season. But before that, we're going to go talk right away about that. I'm too excited talking about Montreal. We're going to talk about Ovechkin after the news of the Montreal Canadiens. Recap game, Mr. Nartap, of the Montreal Canadiens. Maybe the best game under Martin Saint-Louis of the 60 minutes in the last 3 years. And they beat not anybody. They beat the Florida Panthers for the score 3-1. And this was an amazing, great game. I'm going to give you the recap. And then, Mr. Nartap, you're going to start about the game of the Montreal Canadiens. Here you go. It's not the same. I'm not supposed to be there, Mr. Nartap. We're supposed to be here. About that, Devarek score is 100 goal in the NHL, Mr. Nartap. Montembeault was solid between the pipe. What a save he did at 6 versus 4, I believe, at the end of the game with the glove. Laine power play goal, 13 goal Laine power play. Devarek 100 goal in the NHL, tip the pocket. Caufield 33 goal, plus 1 assist, 2 point, first star of the game. Suzuki 1 assist, 5 hit. Suzuki played a solid game again. Hudson 50 assists and 68 game. Are going to tell me at 48 during the season? Yes, but remember, he had 2 assists last season, so he became the fourth fastest defenseman to get that. Referee was bad game. It's rare I talk about the referee, guys, but that performance, I did not have the time to make the clip, but I started to do a clip 4 times. They missed something, the referee last night. And the Montreal Canadiens have a record of 7-1-2. We're going to talk about by numbers for Montreal Canadiens in the next couple of minutes. But this is resume what's happening. And now is your turn to chat. And Mr. Nartap, following by Mr. Devin, what do you feel about that W? What you pay the most attention and of this game of the Montreal Canadiens? And now I don't talk for the next 5 minutes.
Well, Coach, as you know, we're down to the last 15, 16 games between the teams that are all in the mix. And, of course, from Montreal's perspective, this already is the playoffs for them. From my thoughts and considerations, hopefully they'll be able to make it. I think that they stand a good chance. We've seen some teams kind of drop off a little bit. Unfortunately, today Detroit didn't cooperate and they won, so they kind of brought themselves back into the fold. But that's okay. Like if we get some luck from Edmonton today, we'll be right there, and it sets up things perfectly for Tuesday night, Ottawa against Montreal. It's probably going to be the game of the year, in my estimation. 2 teams that want the points badly. And, I think Montreal right now, there's the belief. They believe in what they're doing. The first line is clicking like crazy. I saw actually an interesting stat just yesterday that if you look at the top line from the Toronto Maple Leafs, who've been glorified, to the nth degree, and you look at number one line in Montreal, they only trail them by one goal. So that just speaks volumes to how well they're doing. And I think that's also a testament to the team, the entire team, in terms of their effort, because we're still playing with a reduced, if you want to call it that, second line. But yeah, yesterday, just a fantastic game. I think everybody really chipped in for this victory, and they deserve it wholeheartedly.
David?
Yeah, I agree completely with all of that. I'd say, their last night was a game where every aspect of their game was firing on all cylinders. All four lines were playing well. I think that Joshua Roy might be a little bit of a better. The way they've organized the lines with Joshua Roy in the lineup is maybe a little bit better than what they had before. It's not suggesting that Roy is a better player than Beck. I just think that the way that he's maybe a little bit better placeholder on that second line. And we talked about how when they were firing really well in January, how they were able to just roll four lines, right? And they had that chemistry, and everything was sort of working out for them, whether it was on the forwards or the defense. And I think they, last night they certainly had that. It's been up and down a little bit. On the West Coast they had some good games and they had some struggle games. Before that they played quite well. So it's things are starting to come around. I think we all know what they're capable of now. We've seen their best. We've seen what they can do now. I think it's a matter of them learning how to apply that or those lessons and to be more consistent about it, right? Where they do it, every night. Doesn't mean they're going to win every game, but they come out and they put that type of performance on the ice every night. That's when we know that this is a team that's ready to compete and ready to be a contender. And so that's what I'm looking forward to seeing. Again, last night, top to bottom, everybody was good. From the first line to the second line to the third line, the fourth line. Where they're getting to the point now where it's not even just like Jaden Struble and Laine Hudson, right? Like who thought that Jaden Struble would be playing 17, 18 minutes a game and be a contributor? Like he a month ago he could barely get in the lineup, and then when he did get in the lineup, it was just, can we get through the game without we have to sort of protect him and insulate him and whatever. Now he's a contributing member, and he and Hudson are playing together spectacularly. Laine Hudson is contributing, as he did earlier in the season. Now he's playing on his wrong side, so everything just seems to be rolling really, really smoothly right now. And I think now I just look for them to be able to do it on a night in and night out basis. And tomorrow will be really good for that.
Great point about that. I'm working on different stuff. People asking me to check about Alex Newhook.
He would.
Alex Newhook, how many games this center? Like 3 games?
2 for sure. I'm not sure if it's 3 now. But
you know what? He does 46, 30. He stopped for 50, 30, 46. Honestly, he was one involved. So 46, 30 at 14.3 against Florida Panthers for
face-offs. For face-off victories, yeah, that's true. But he does look good. He does look good at the center position. Much more effective than on the wing. And if he can get that face-off victory percentage up a little bit, I think, he could be an effective, third line center for sure.
Yeah, a lot of great comments, Stephen, right about this. Montreal Canadiens, I have the goal of Montreal Canadiens. I don't know where I put this. I apologize for I have the setup. I tried to figure out where I put this. I did the last, anyway. Great goal from, and we don't talk about Alex Newhook goal, Dizalou by the ref.
That's right.
It was a bad break, I believe. I think they take, if you look really closely, frame by frame, Bobrovsky used his experience. When he felt Gallagher in front of him, he dropped the stick right there. He knew he was going to be beat on the left side, because when he sees Suzuki moving the puck on that one, he had to do a T-push, and he felt Gallagher. You can see he dropped the stick on the ice over there like that. It was a great play by Nick Suzuki on that play. The vision Nick Suzuki was amazing on that pass to Newhook. On the first goal, I think Florida Panthers was one of the teams was struggling the most for the on the turnover, gave away puck. This rare happening for the Panthers, and that's a bit with Zed Jones. On that one, Caufield missed a great shot. Bobrovsky is just lucky to start the puck on the great pass for Sekowski. Then you got the goal of Caufield. What a shot from Caufield. The play by Sekowski on that one. You have the goal of Dvorak tip in front of the net. From the pass from Bennett to Savard. Savard slap shot, and then he tipped by Dvorak. It was his 100th goal, 7th of the year for Dvorak. To get the insurance. Then after that, Montreal struggling with the 6 versus 4. And that was amazing to see that for the Montreal Canadiens, to see what happening. If you think about this, guys, at the end of the game, Evans, Armia, Savard, Dvorak. What they have all in common in attack?
They work well together.
Yeah, but like what Evans they have one thing in common. Devin.
They're all free agents at the end of the year.
Exactly. So this guy is 4 player could lead the Montreal Canadiens next season. Who they have in the lineup to take those spot for Laval?
Well, it's hard to say because I don't think necessarily everybody will come from Laval if they are to replace them.
No, we have to confirm Evans is returning, right? So we have to confirm Evans going to return.
And don't be surprised if one of the other 3 probably returns as well. And then, like I said, it's not only they won't only look at Laval; they'll also look at the free agency market and see if they can find somebody to replace them. But they're playing well, and that's great. And yet, but you have to be careful. You have to stay within the framework of what Hughes and Gorton have established that the team should move towards. And part of it was to clear up, some of the contracts that they had, and they have done that over the last 2 years. And now this is coming towards the end of that construction phase of the reconstruction for the team. So
and they all in that 4 player involved and make a big impact on the PK for the Montreal Canadiens since the beginning of the season.
They do.
Evan Armia is the best duo. Dvorak is the only left center. Take the face off. And Savard play big minute on the defense. So that. So next season they will have a very difficult time to figure out their PK if Armia, Dvorak, and Savard are not returning. We know Jake Evan will be there, but and then one thing you have to remember, guys, happening yesterday. Suzuki versus Barkov. Usually, they use the line of Jake Evans at the beginning, or sometimes the line of Christian Dvorak at the beginning of the game. Whatever who they put in front of them. Yesterday, by purpose, Martin Suzuki put Nick Suzuki against Barkov all night. Barkov played 14 minutes at 5 versus 5. Suzuki was on the ice 12 minutes of the 14 minutes. During the time Barkov was on the ice. The building of the Bell Center was on fire with the atmosphere. And only Gallagher, since 2017, is the only one got the playoff or taste the playoff at the Bell Center. The players never have this. We're going to say, you did play in 2021. It was like 500 people. 5,000 disappear. So he's not the same about that. And this is really surprising, guy. We talk about 8 years now, and only Gallagher is still on the lineup. Everybody is out. So that it was the taste during the game. Devin, you're going to talk about this after that. But Samuel Montembeault at the 4 Nation game, when USA played Team Canada, he record during the game what happening at the Bell Center. During the game again, both teams, USA, Team Canada, Samuel Montembeault was not dressed up. So besides his 6 hot dog, Mr. Nartap, he was the time to recording everything. So he took a clip and he sent this to his fan player for the Montreal Canadiens. The atmosphere and the Bell Center, what it looked like, and they have to how it would be if ever they made the playoffs. It was a little bit a source of the motivation. But David, I would like to hear from you. What do you think the matchup of Suzuki and Barkov? What tell you this matchup, and what this gave you a little bit more the Nick Suzuki become who he is right now with the Montreal Canadiens?
Well, I think he won that matchup last night. First of all, I think that's the first thing that needs to be said. But I think, Barkov is a good role model for Nick Suzuki, right? That's the model of the player that he wants to become. Whether it's Barkov or Patrice Bergeron, that's the style of player that Nick Suzuki, if he reaches his potential, when he becomes the player that he's building towards being, that's what he's going to be. He's going to be a leader. He's going to be a 200-foot player. He's going to be a guy who contributes equally offensively and defensively, in a very high level in both of those categories, right? A guy who puts up, a point or more per game, but also is a guy you can put out against the other team's best player. All of those things, right? So to have him matched up against Barkov yesterday, I think was a good test for him. But it was also, like you said, Marty St. Louis, I think, did it intentionally and purposefully, because I think he also recognizes that that's a good comparator for Nick Suzuki going forward, right? That's the guy that they would like him to become, and he is becoming, right? It's not sort of a pipe dream anymore that you're going to have a player who is on level. Because he's clearly working towards being that kind of player and making that kind of impact on the ice. So I thought last night was, and not just last night, but, when they played them on December 28th as well, right? It was the same situation. Suzuki had a very good game that night as well. And, he's demonstrating that, while it might be a little bit premature at this stage to say that he's on the same level as Alexander Barkov, I think he is definitely trending in that direction. And, once he gets a little bit more, experience and a little bit more, a bit more of a track record under his belt, then I think, those are guys who I think he will be spoken favorably about in the same conversation, the same sentence. So, I thought he won the battle last night, and I think, he's demonstrated now that it wasn't a fluke. He's done it more than once now. And we know what he's capable of doing. And like the team, for Suzuki, it's just, continue to do it over and over and over again so that people start to realize this is the player that you are, right? And, the word probably still isn't out around the league yet. I'm sure it is amongst the players. But, eventually, if he keeps doing it, people will start to realize what kind of player he is.
A lot of good point, guys. You bring on the game of the Montreal Canadiens. We thanks everybody to be a part of the show. Don't forget, please, to click on the like. We appreciate a lot. And like we do at the end of the game, the recap game, we're going to talk about the shootout, the obscure, and at the office. Who is ready?
You want to go first? Okay.
No,
go ahead if you want. I think I went first last time. I went first last time, so you can go ahead.
Okay. So I think there's a few obvious guys. I think I could easily say Laine or Caufield. They've played well and they've been playing well over and over again. But I'm going to say Samuel Montembeault stood out. I know it wasn't the heaviest workload he ever faced. I think there were 23 shots on the game, something like that. But what I've always said about Samuel Montembeault, and I've said about goalies in general, is that, it's great to have a goalie who has a .930 save percentage and a guy who gets you 6, 7, 8, 9 shutouts in a season, and a guy who, is your best player on your team. But realistically, what you want from your goaltender is you want him to give you a chance to win every single night, and you want him to make the saves that matter when it matters the most. And that to me is Samuel Montembeault's greatest strength, is that, he's not going to have a gaudy statistical line. He's not going to have, big fancy numbers, guys like Hellebuck and some of the, the bigger names in the league. But last night he showed us that when the game matters, he makes saves. And it's rare that he loses games for you by letting in a bad goal at a bad time. Like for him, so last night in those last 5 or 6 minutes, when Dvorak took the penalty and Florida pulled their goalie and had the 6-on-4, and then they had the 6-on-5 for the remainder of the game, and he was able to stand up and he was able to make the saves at the most important part of the game, and that to me, for I thought that was really telling for for the kind of goalie that the Canadiens have. And not a lot of people think that Samuel Montembeault is a top level goalie in the league, and maybe he's not a top 10 goalie in the league, but I think he's perfectly fine for this team right now, and I thought last night showed that. Maybe that could have been my obscure pick, I suppose. My obscure pick, I'm going to say Patrik Laine. I thought he had a good game. I think he's been playing better lately. He's obviously producing offensively when he's on the ice. He does that, but last night I think his all-around game was a little bit better. In fact, I thought it was significantly better, and I think the coach recognized that. I think he ended up with 16 or 17 minutes of ice time. He obviously scored the power play goal. I think it was his 16th goal of the year, something like that. And so, I don't know how obscure it is, but again, I thought he played a very good game, and we know that his mental state and his confidence levels are very important. And I think the more he can do, and the more the team can do to sort of help him with that, and the reaction that that his teammates had when he scored that goal, right? You saw them all rush over to him, big smiles on their face. It's very clear that these guys are all on the same page. They all are happy for each other. There was a clear level of happiness that there appeared to be from Cole Caufield is obviously the barometer for that. A lot of the time his emotions are pretty he wears his emotions on his sleeve. So I will give that to Patrik Laine for last night for obscure. At the office, I don't know, who do you send to the office last night? I don't know that anybody really deserves to go to the office last night. Maybe the referees for deciding that they couldn't possibly call more than 2 penalties in a row against the defending Stanley Cup champions, for allowing Sam Bennett to get away with that pick behind the net that allowed Maki Samoskevich to score his goal, for calling a completely invisible interference call. I can't remember who it was on the blue line. Heineman on the blue line standing still, and the Florida Panther player trips over his leg, and he's not even watching the play, and it's an interference call. So I know it's a bit of a cop-out, I guess, to send the referees to the office, but I really honestly can't think of anybody on the ice for Montreal last night that didn't have an above average game. So it would be really hard for me to pick somebody to send to the office. So I don't know. That's the best I can do.
Okay. I mean, all valid points, Devin. I agree with the majority of the stuff you said there. The only thing I'll disagree with you, and that's where I'll start, at the office, it's not a cop-out. I will throw the referees there because I thought that was brutal yesterday. I thought the team as a whole, everybody chipped in. It was a total team effort. So I can't find anybody that I would send down there, but the referees for sure. Even that Bennett screen that set up that only Florida goal. That should have been called. And there were other penalties. I counted about, I think, 3 or 4 for sure that were just obvious, and 2 of them were right in front of the second referee that was there, and they let it go. And I think part of it was, I think they had called 3 straight penalties on Florida players, and so for whatever reason they feel like they can't give a 4th in a row without calling one on Montreal. So we have what we had last night, which was a poor effort by the referees. They should just stick to calling the game as the game is meant to be called by the rules. So I will send the referees to the office there and throw in Bettman to give them a little bit of a talk as well. In terms of the stood out, I had Montembeault as the obscure, but in terms of stood out, I'm going to go with Cole Caufield. He seems to be really on a tear now. His shots are just like, his accuracy is just fantastic. He seems to get into plays. He's using his body as well. He's creating. He's winning battles. He's finding both of his partners open for passes as well as receiving passes from both of them, and they're just clicking at a high level right now. But to reach 33 goals right now for Caufield is phenomenal. Yesterday he had 2 more points, a goal and an assist. He played I believe just under 20 minutes as well, in a game which, there were penalties. So he's not going to be on killing those penalties. So I thought that was fantastic. And for obscure, just not to mention Montembeault and go with something different. Um, I liked what I out of Matheson yesterday, and probably the last couple of games. He's been very solid, from both ends of the ice. But I'm going to give it to Christian Dvorak, because I think now it's about 3 or 4 games in a row where he's done his role to the nth degree. Now, yesterday he didn't have a over 50% winning percentage on the circle in terms of faceoffs, but that's okay. He was just slightly under, I think around 47% or something like that. But you know what? He had a key goal at a key time in the game. He had, I think, 3 shots on net. He also had a couple of block shots. He had a hit. Like, he's much more engaged right now from earlier times in the year. And I think he's been sent down to the office a number of times that I feel like he deserves, on this occasion, to be deemed the obscure player of the game for me. Coach.
He says so much great things. I don't know what to say about that. Thanks for everybody for click on the likes. Harry Lundqvist is at the game. It's not watching McDavid. The Oilers take the lead 2-1 again in New York Rangers, so that's good news for that one. The Denver University guys, why I want to talk about Denver University because I'm watching Sam Harris, another prospect from Montreal Canadiens, score his 21 goal Friday night. They faced to the elimination DU. DU is the 7th best team at NCAA, and they are right now winning 3-1. And you talk about this event, right? And in after effect, like when you are in the playoff, sometimes it's not your top line. It's your bottom 6 carry on your team to get the big, and that's happening right now. 3 unknown players scored a goal for the Denver University. It's not Aiden Thompson. It's not Jack Devin. It's not Zebulon. It's not Sam Harris. It's the 4 line at 2 of the 3 goals, lead 3-1. So I will see happening for them. So I just want to sharing what's going on with that. I just stood out, guys. I have to go with Cole Caufield. I just want to add one thing when Inatab said. How many times in these first 3 years when the Montreal Canadiens, you see Cole Caufield behind the goal line of his own goalie? Never. Watch the last 3 games where Caufield is right there behind the goal line. And option passing, battle for the puck. This is the new transformation of Martin St-Louis about Cole Caufield to understand to sacrifice goal, a point, but to add another tools on the NHL to become an elite player and to be a part of the top best player in NHL. He said constantly, you cannot teach Cole Caufield how to score a goal, but you can teach Cole Caufield to become a complete player. He's getting there. It's not that done, his job is over. But for me, to see Cole Caufield engage more, back checking better, better on the defensive zone, this is a very big plus for the Montreal Canadiens, I believe, for Cole Caufield. And he showed again, he could score another goal yesterday, one that Bobrovsky made a save at the beginning of the game after a great pass to Sekowski on the quick release, but he did not score. But a good performance of Cole Caufield yesterday. Again, the Fleur Panthers. I stood out, you nailed it, Christian Dvorak. All night. I said the best player for the Montreal was Christian Dvorak for the Montreal Canadiens. And not on the point, but the way he was play on the ice. He was involved so much. Christian Dvorak, in my opinion, played his best hockey since he joined the Montreal Canadiens and the last send the 4 Nations, they are back. He's outstanding about that for him. Whatsoever, Gallagher and Anderson does not add point, but Dvorak, what he bring on the table is amazing for me. And you need the kind of player like him, Jake Evans, those support players to help the Montreal Canadiens to have a better year. And that's happening right now with Christian Dvorak. So he's balanced the 4 line we talk about, right? The 4 line. And really, Christian Dvorak do a great job on the PK also on that side. At the office, you're right, Devin. You said, who I can bring. Well, it's easy for me. It's going to be the Zebra. All four of them have to go to the office and get a pep talk about the how you can referee in NHL, because it's not a lot. It's not often I complaining about the referee, but yesterday was very bad, like very bad. David Savard tripping, the interference at the blue line. Montreal never touched the guys. You have an interference happening. The goal of the Florida Panthers guy. If it's not interference by Sam Bennett, I don't know how you can call it. I don't know, David, if you remember that one over there.
Yeah.
Up behind the net.
Absolutely.
Bennett goes straight to Madison to cut the way. They cut the way, the path of Madison to come back in front of the net.
Yep.
And think about this, David. How many times they call a penalty interference at the blue line? One that sometimes is the opening player hit the guy, then he fall on the back, and he called interference at the blue line. Bennett, 10 times bigger. No call on that one. So for me, at the office, guys, is the full referee, and the Montreal Canadiens did not but win the game. It beat the Florida Panthers. The Montreal Canadiens, Mr. Top, beat the referee yesterday, and this is an amazing great
Coach,
for me. At the Montreal Canadiens fans, yesterday, on the description of the game, I feel the same thing happening at the playoff on the Montreal Canadiens. I like Montreal, but if you tell me, honestly, both of you, if you believe Montreal can beat the Florida Panthers like they did yesterday, I would say they would surprise me. But what is surprised me, guys, is maybe the perfect game of 60 minutes. Never is perfect, right? But they play the best 60 minutes. I never see them with the structure, the system they use, the way they play on the 3 zone, on each zone, the forechecking. They put the defensemen of the Florida Panthers on the heel constantly. That would create the turnover by forcing Jones and Bennett. And that's the reason Montreal win. They play the same system, the same way. It was the Panthers' way yesterday. And that's the reason they win, Mr. Tap. And I'm sorry, but I have to go there, Mr. Tap. I'm still fired right now. How about that one over there? Oh! The Canadiens, the Canadiens! Le cœur, autrement, Canadien, c'est nous. One more time. Bleu, blanc, rouge. Le Canadien, le Canadien.
And
How
Coach,
can I feel about that? How can I be more excited about the Montreal Canadiens?
absolutely.
This is what we're looking for. The fans, I said last week, guys, the fans deserve it to anything. Patient after 3 years. We know we are not, the top 15 team in the NHL yet, but the future, the sun in front of us, guys, is there. The Demida, the Edge, the Fowler, the Xhekaj, the Beck, the Kapanen, the Rebacker, the Mayu. I can add more. They're not going to all make the Montreal Canadiens, but they are the asset to trade maybe and to get better player overall. So it's just a step forward. And we do this guy with a Pee-wee coach. Imagine if we have an NHL coach. We do this with a Pee-wee coach. Martin Saint-Louis. Imagine that instead of that if we have a Scotty Bowman. But again, at the end of the day, guys, this is what's happening on that
And
one.
Coach, you also set history. This is the first time you agreed with all 3 of my selections. I'm proud of you.
We are happy about that. David, you feel the same way. Nova Scotia, you have the favor from Montreal sweep all the way to Nova Scotia, and we don't send snow anymore. We send you the playoff, Mr. David, over there. And I know the fans in Nova Scotia are ready for the playoff, and that would be huge for the Montreal Canadiens if they can make the playoff. But again, remember, the purpose of the Montreal Canadiens at the beginning of the season, guys, was honestly the meaningful game. We still have 16 games for the Montreal Canadiens. And I think this is a huge for the Montreal Canadiens to get the last 16 games. They still have in the race, and we'll see. Every game is important. Every game is huge for the standing. Whatsoever happening, if they can stay all the way there, I think it will be huge for the Montreal Canadiens to get that area. And I just want to give you, we go about the schedule a bit later, so I don't want to get there right away. I'm to too excited, Mr. Hatap. I want to give you a little bit more information. People ask this question at the beginning of the show, and I want to give you that, guys. First of all, the Ray Barker. David Ray Barker did not play the last 3 games with the Laval Rocket. Not controversy, but some kind of rumor around David Ray Barker. So we got, honestly, the right news update for David Ray Barker. He have a discomfort on his same knee. So the Montreal Canadiens, by the mouth of the head coach Pascal Vincent, not everybody, as Pascal Vincent said, we do right now only precaution. He feels something discomfort him on the right knee. Nothing in major. It's not bad. It's just precaution. They want to give him a little bit more time. And then I think, honestly, they'll be good. The Laval Rocket went out on the top of the American Hockey League. And that's the reason behind that. So, Montreal Canadiens fans, wait. Nothing panic right now. Don't be on the panic with there. I think the most important thing for me is to let the kid grow properly the right way and to be ready for the upcoming season. And if he can play a couple of games in the playoff, that'd be awesome for him. So we'll see happening of David Ray Barker for the Montreal Canadiens. And finally, we have one more, guys. News. This hurt. I hurt. Michael Edge got eliminated. And Jacob Fuller, the Boston College, got eliminated by Northeastern during the weekend. Fuller was not very good. Gave 2 goals and only a 19 shot. So, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Boston University now have the wide open to go all the way to the final on the ACAC division and NCAA. Now, pay attention. The NCAA guys have a 6 big division inside the full NCAA. You know, the NHCH, and I can go all the way to the division about that, right? The North, the Middle, and the West division. And what do you do? At the end of the season, they play a round robin. They play playoff. Some playoff is only 1 game. And you get eliminated after that. Some other division, like the Denver State, was the best of the 3. And they move on all the way like that. Now,
that's right.
When they win, they go straight to the Final 4. At the end of Final 4, like the basketball happening today, right? They complete the bracket and they fill up the bracket with other teams deserve to be there I don't know the system in NCAA basketball, but for the hockey guys, they look about their ranking as during season, everything like that. So don't worry. Jacob Fuller is going to play at the Final 4. Boston College is number 1 in NCAA. So he's going to not get eliminated. But the Michigan is borderline. And that's maybe could be the end of Michael Edge this season. Michael Edge struggling the last 17 games. He has only 2 goals. They have that's not same the second half season like he was in the first half. And but again, 2 big huge prospect for Montreal again was honestly eliminated on the weekend. Michael was last week, and this weekend was Jacob Fuller. They have some players still in the NCAA. Another player got eliminated is Jack Smith. Sam Harris looked like he's going to be fine. We have also Emmett Croteau, guys. Nobody talk about Emmett Croteau. Goaltender. Win the both games on the weekend. Play against Union. He played for the Dartmouth College. He's still alive. Then we have eliminate. Logan Sawyer is eliminated. If I miss one, I apologize. One is not eliminated. Is Luc Middlestad of the Minnesota. I don't know, Devin, you know someone else?
Jack Smith.
Jack Smith got eliminated. He lost in overtime 6-5 against Arizona State. So about that. So that's happening about everything about the Montreal Canadiens for the news around the team. So let's move on, guys, with different subject. I don't want to talk about Ovechkin, but tomorrow night I'm doing a show, so I can talk about Ovechkin tomorrow. Thanks for all the likes. Panthers still winning 2-0 with at the beginning of the third period. We are almost at 4 minutes to go remaining, guys, of the game. The Oilers lead 2-1 against the Rangers. The Canucks take the lead against Utah 1-0. The Canucks, guys, nobody talk about this, but Elias Pettersson have a great run for the Vancouver Canucks. And then the Blues are now lead the Ducks 2-0. The Blues looking good. They are still in the race. The Red Wings won today 3-0. They just played the Kraken at this moment. So we'll give you all this information, what's going on around the league. And, of course, the biggest game is the Rangers. And we give you all the Arber Xhekaj, all the news and the updates. So I want to share it with you. We'll go by number here, guys. We're going to talk about Montembeault by number. We're going to talk about the Montreal game by number, and we're going to talk about the first line by number. So big tic-tac-toe. And then Mr. Enartap and Mr. Devin going to talk about this. What do you think about the performance and how you feel about what he did? Let's start it with Simon Montembeault. Montembeault sent is back for the foundation. 6-0-1, the Oilers just scored a goal. 3-1. McDavid score. I apologize, I cut this right away, but huge game for the Rangers. So they're losing right now 3-1, 3-25. So huge game about that. 6-0-1, 1.96, save percentage of 9.28 for Montembeault. The last 15 games, he has only gave two games at 4 goal E plus. So it's 3-2-1-0 for Montembeault. He's a top 10 goalie at the GSVA. Goal save against. 49 games start this year. This is the first time in his career. You have a record of 24-21-4, 2.83. First time he's below 3. And he's above 900. This is the first time also for him. Since the formation, he is the first goaltender with the most W with Hellebuck. Top 5 at 1.96 in NHL. Is top 5 with a save percentage at 9.28. This is number as the goalie number 1 to any team in NHL. He does it with the second youngest team in NHL. He does this with a defensive player like Xhekaj, Strobel, Hudson, are young as a defenseman for the Montreal Canadiens. Only Savard, Carrier, and Madison. So half of his defense core, it's a young core. And Montembeault go through that. For me, his development, his improvement is amazing. I don't think so. We gave enough credit to Montembeault. This is the question I have for you. How you feel about Samuel Montembeault, Devin? Can you consider him as a goalie number 1? Or do you see him a goalie number 2? But how you feel about the performance of Samuel Montembeault? I know 6 games, 7 games doesn't make a career, but you have to look overall. The 49 game as it's all positive number. And I don't think we have to give him enough credit. On the first one, the couple of years, I never believe on him, but I have to thinking now, I may be wrong about that. And we have to give him credit on that. He may be but not the best goalie in shape, Mr. Natab, but still, he stopped the puck. That's the most important thing. So, David, that's your turn.
Yeah, I mean, I probably should have saved some of this. I said some of it before, right, when we were talking about the stood out for the week, and I picked Samuel Montembeault, and his numbers since the break have been fantastic. But for me, it hasn't been about his numbers. It's not about his save percentage. It's not about all those other numbers. It's about what he gives this team and how he gives them an opportunity to win almost every night, right? Obviously, he had some games where he struggled early in the year where he had, a few bad games. But for the most part, he's a guy who will make the saves that matter when they need them. And so last night was a perfect example of that. Late in the game, they're up by 2 goals against the best, arguably the best team in the league, certainly the best team in the East, defending Stanley Cup champions. And they're putting pressure on, and they're coming after the Canadiens. They've got a 6-on-4, and then they've got a 6-on-5, and that's when he saves his best, right? That's when he makes his big saves. That's when he steps up for the team when they need him. And in that sense, to me, he's easily a number 1 goalie in the NHL. A lot of people will say that he's not, and maybe down the road when this team becomes a Stanley Cup contender, he doesn't fill that role. Maybe they do need somebody more in the, Shesterkin, Hellebuck, or whatever category, and maybe that's Jacob Fowler. But I think you can win very easily with a goaltender like Samuel Montembeault in the NHL. It's been proven time and again that, if you have a goalie who can keep you in games and give you an opportunity to win, and the defense, plays well in front of him, that you can win in the NHL. And I think Samuel Montembeault is a very good goaltender, and I think that he could start on just about any team in the league. And I think there's a lot of teams in the NHL who would be more than happy to have Samuel Montembeault, on their team.
Well, if you recall, Coach, one of the areas at the beginning of the year that we talked about was the fact that there was going to be a lot of evaluation being done on a couple of key players this year. One we talked about already, which was, of course, Doc. And the other one that I think it was both Marco and I mentioned in one of the shows was the goaltending, right? And specifically Montembeault. And we saw the debacle last year because they had three different goalies going, which is not ideal for any team to have all three goalies going, but simply because they need that consistency in terms of being able to play whatever you establish, whether it's every second, third, fourth game, depending on how their role fits the team. And we said, can Montembeault play, a season with 55 games and plus? And I think this year he's answered that, and he definitely gives Montreal a fighting chance in every game he's in. I agree with everything you said there, Devin, in terms of his progression. And I would also put it hand in hand with the fact that the defensive core has also been very sound, and they've improved from what we saw last year. And that comes with experience. It comes with age. It comes with being put in key games under different circumstances and the way they react. And I think that when you put those two things together, even if he's still giving out the odd rebound that he shouldn't, the defense is taking care of that rebound that comes out. So I'm very pleased with his progress. I think the team has a lot of confidence when he's behind in the net, and I think he's definitely here for quite some time.
Sorry about that, Mr. Altap. I was take something.
And the Rangers lose.
Bleu, blanc, rouge, le Canadien, le Canadien. The Rangers lost 3-1 against Edmonton Oilers, Mr. Altap, and we still only 1 point with 2 games in hands right now for the Montreal again over the New York Rangers. So this is a big news for the Montreal Canadiens to look to see the Rangers lost tonight. So glad to see that.
That Tuesday game even bigger now.
It's getting bigger and bigger. So thanks, Ellen, for the comments, people. The chat, thanks so much about this. All the people, all news for the Rangers. See that. Mr. Devin, we talk about number by number. Let's go with the Montreal Canadiens, Mr. Altap. Montreal Canadiens, 7-1-2, number one on the winning percentage for the Montreal Canadiens. Goal for 3.40. They are 7 in NHL. Goal again, 2.20, 5th in NHL. The power play is at 28.5, 8 in NHL. The PK is struggling, but they're still 12 in NHL at 39.2. Point behind that, guys, the Montreal Canadiens and the Four Nations are one of the top best team in NHL. We have to give credit for what they're performing. And we can talk about Patrick Laine since December 3rd, like Pierre W. want to hear that. But you can talk about the trait of Justin Barron versus Alex Carrier. Carrier transformed the defensive of Montreal Canadiens. And sometimes it's not about one specific player. It's the impact of the players on different share. Laine top 6 is better at no Laine top 6. And Alex Carrier top 4. Without him, it's completely not good for the Montreal Canadiens. So we can talk about the difference between Tobias and Primo. During the season, they have sometimes the momentum change and the team play. And then, of course, the formation, the conversation between Ken Hughes and Nick Suzuki. But look, those numbers does not lie. Those numbers are facts. And that's the reason Montreal, they are tonight 1 point behind the New York Rangers. And I want to hear from you, Devin, first. What do you feel about the Montreal Canadiens as a team together? Not specific player, but as a team together, what pay you a little bit more attention? What you like the most for the Montreal in the last 10 game with a record of 7-1-2?
What I like about it is that they're doing it in the face of some adversity, right? They're doing it, with some injuries. Kirby Dach is out, Caden Gooley is out. When they went on their run earlier in the year, it was when they had everybody on the team, right? Carrier had come in and sort of done the magic that he did when he joined the team, and they were firing up. Now they're doing it without having everybody in their best chair, right? To use Marty St. Louis terminology, like they're doing it where Jaden Struebel's doing it, right? They're doing it with a depleted second line. Owen Beck was, standing in for Kirby Dach for a while. Now Alex Newhook is playing center, and Joshua Ottawa is in that role. And Emil Heineman was out for a bit. So they're doing it in the face of some adversity, and that's what's impressive about this for me. Is I think that's kind of why they fell off a little bit when they were on that streak in January. The reason they fell off was because they did have a couple of injuries, and now all of a sudden guys weren't playing in their preferred roles and in their preferred spots, and now they're showing that they can do it even if they don't have all of their weapons. They can still go out and play with anybody in the league. And so that's what's impressed me since the break. What's also impressed me is just the deliberateness of it, if I can call it that. The idea that that Nick Suzuki and Kent Hughes had a conversation during the break, and that the message was sent to Nick Suzuki that you guys go and prove it to me and go and prove something, and that they're doing it, right. So they're doing it. It's not luck. It's not a fluke. It's not, something that just happened to fall in place. Like, they're doing it with a concerted effort to do it, right? This is what they want to do. They want to prove that they're capable of being, quote unquote, in the mix, and that they're capable of, being in contention for a playoff spot, and that they're going out night in and night out with that pressure on them. And they're able to do it, right? They're able to perform, kind of on demand, if I can say that, right? They're not just sort of having a lucky game here and there. Like, they're actually doing this when they're when they have a specific goal. It's a mission in mind, and they're out there doing it. And I think, to me, that's what makes this particular run perhaps even a little bit more impressive than the one they had after the Christmas break.
Well, it's definitely encouraging, right? When you look at just before the Four Nations tournament, how they went into that tournament, where they had lost, I think, 4 out of their last 5 games. And, with that bit of rest, we were questioning, has Hudson hit the wall, and in terms of fatigue, and have other players sort of given up on the season because they had fallen a little bit out of the race at the time. But they came back fortified, and you can tell that this, to me, speaks to the way they feel as a team, the way they get along. It's the chemistry that they've built together, and I agree, Devin, it's no fluke that they've established this record. And I would even say it's not just the adversity that they've encountered along the way, but it's also the fact that they're doing it right now at a key time of the year, when you're not catching teams off guard, where they're saying, okay, well, we're playing Montreal. Look, every team right now, let's get this straight, is out there to get their 2 points for the night. They know that it may not be because of a playoff position, but it might be positioning within the division. Everybody has something invested going into the playoffs, and you want to always head into the playoffs on a winning note, right? It's usually the teams that go into the playoffs on a good feel and are doing well, that perform well also in the playoffs. So, they're not easy wins that they've earned, and that's also speaks volumes to the team in terms of where they've come and where they're headed. You look at the goals for and the goals against. I mean, Devin always talks about this on his podcast as well. If you score over 3 per game and you allow under 3 per game, hey, guess what? You're going to win. It's as simple as that. And if you look at where they rank in the NHL, it speaks the volumes. The power play and the penalty kill is your special teams, right? So right now they're 8th and 12th. That puts them in the upper third of the NHL. And that's very encouraging to see that happen. They're at, if you add those two up, you get a 107.7, which if you're over 100 and you're close to, I'd say, 110%, then you're a playoff bound team for sure. And they're right there. They're knocking on the door, and they're a team that you don't want to either put on the power play, and you have to really perform well in order to prevent them from killing the penalty on you. So all of those numbers, those analytics are fantastic. They they sort of validate the fact that they're in this mix right now. But to me, the biggest underlining current that determines consistency and longevity down the road is the fact that they've built a culture and chemistry together that will serve them well for many years to come.
Good point about everything about what's going on. By number, one more time, we have for a fun number, Mr. Natap and Devin. The first line, Suzuki, 17 points, plus 9, number 1 before the game at Tresalo tonight. We have Caufield, 12 points, plus 9, 7 goals in 10 games. Sakaski, he has 11 points, plus 9. Total, 40 points for the first line and plus 27 for the first line. For me, they are the dominant team player for the Montreal Canadiens. This is you're looking for your first line, but not only dominate the Montreal, but they are right now dominate everyone. Like you can put them on right now top 5 line in NHL right now. They are hot, 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 like the Hooters wings, Mr. Natap. I know some people were thinking about something else.
I thought you were going somewhere else
I
with
was
that
coming,
one.
Mr. Natap. Yeah, exactly about that. I like to put some cheese on my wings. But in Natap, how you feel about the first line?
Well, I spoke to it earlier, Coach, and I made the comparison with the top line of Toronto in terms of just goals, and we're one behind them at currently after 66 games that we've played. So I mean that speaks the volumes, especially when you consider that Toronto has more of a subsidiary, like their second line is much more effective. So you got Matthews being backed up by a good solid centerman, not only on their second line but also their third line, and we don't quite have that second line properly clicking yet, and it might not be this year, but it will down the road. So for these guys to carry the load like they have, and I know the other lines have definitely contributed, but we've also seen a bit of a drop off in terms of the third and fourth line, only numerically speaking, right? Like Evans isn't scoring at the same rate he was, let's say, the first 50 games, and Heineman hasn't been quite the same since he came back from his injury in terms of getting points, and you can go on, right? But still, they're doing their job in other ways and helping to contribute to the victories. And these guys, you know what? They've put the team on their back, and they're carrying the load. And the numbers are exorbitant. Like they're just doing a fantastic job. They're all at plus 9s, which is again a good sign. And I think it was. I forget who said it just yesterday. They said a lot of teams, even after they played Vancouver, they played. I think it was Rick Tocchet that said it. He said it's a very difficult line to try to contain. They give top checking lines on the other team or the top line from the other team a lot of fits because they bring everything to the table, right? They bring speed, they bring good ice intelligence to the table. They bring the ability to score. Suzuki. They can all three make great passes. Suzuki probably leads the way in that capacity, and they're very effective in what they do. And when you got three guys clicking like that, it's difficult to contain a line that's clicking at this pace.
Mr. Devin, I want you to go a little bit more specific about one specific player. What are the 3 players on the first line? I know they have a good run right now. But one specific player are you the most impressed overall for the 3 players we talk about? Yeah, something like really this is really impact for the Montreal Canadiens. Every one of them make a fun impact, right? Sakaski play better. Caufield become more a 2-way players. Suzuki right now just add more and more on his. But I want you to take one specific player for for you? What you really impressed or what you really into right now? You watch a little bit more, pay attention.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm impressed with all three of them, and I think that Slavkovsky's a work in progress, and Suzuki is the guy who drives the bus. But to me, if you're asking me to pick one of those guys who's really impressive to me, it's Cole Caufield, and the way that he's transformed his game in the last year and a half. Going, if you remember, Cole Caufield was a guy who'd have 10 goals and 2 assists, right? And he was a sniper, he was a goal scorer, he was that guy, and now he's a guy who can contribute in so many other ways, right? He can, he helps his line mates. He makes his line mates better. Before he would have to rely on his line mates to 3-2 for the Islanders. He would have to rely on the other guys to get him the puck. And now he's the guy who's, retrieving pucks on the boards. He's the one who's, setting up plays. As coach says, he's playing behind the net now. He's doing different things. And, the way he's transformed his game and turned himself into an all-around player, and without sacrificing the goal scoring, which was his calling card coming into the league, to me, that's been very impressive. His +9 rating, I think he's a plus for the entire season this year. His defensive game is better. His playmaking is better. He's just, he's worked on his game, and he's made his impact and his contributions to the team so much greater than they were prior to, certainly prior to this year. And to me, that's been the most impressive thing. That's not to say that the others aren't impressive. They're impressive in their own ways. But the way that he's just, taken on the challenge, I think, that Marty St. Louis gave him. We remember, there was all that conversation about, Caufield and Marty St. Louis sort of being able to relate to one another because of their stature and all this kind of stuff. And, they've kind of, worked that relationship into something really special. And Caufield is a guy who I think will continue to get better. But, he's looking like 40 goals this year. He's looking like he could be even more than that down the road, especially once Slavkovsky, develops into the player that, he probably is going to mature into. I think he's going to be a really special player for a long time for this team.
A lot of great comments there. On the flip side, I think we need to talk about the support player around them, right? And you're going to see a drop, but 2 players did very well. It's Laine 11 points in his last 10 games, and Patrick Laine had 9 points in the last 8 games. So we talk about 5 players right there. Now, after that, you have 3 players with 4 points. Madison, Dvorak, and Newhook. So I didn't put them there. I want to give you a little bit more some precaution for the Montreal Canadiens. Anderson, Gallagher, Evans, 2 points. Amia and Eneman, 0 points. Amia, 1 point. And they are -4 and -5. At some point, Devin and Artap, the first time they will crack them at some point. They cannot consist. I don't see them to the next 16 game and to carry another 50 points. I think they will stop to produce, or some night they will have to stop. They will not produce like that. So we need support now. Laine, Newhook, and Roy. It's not strong enough to make that first line. We need more for the bottom 6, and we don't get nothing. That's my caution. This is my red flag. I'm really concerned about the bottom 9 of the Montreal Canadiens. Because at the end of the day, Devin, I think you'll be agree with me and that. The second line, we talk about Laine, Newhook, and Roy. With all the respect they have from type of player career they have or their skill, 3 together, it's not a good second line in NHL. It's a bottom 10 NHL team. So Montreal work with 1 line and 3 bottom 6 line. And this have to be a system for the team play together to get a better chance to make the playoff. But this is a little bit really not a good news for the Montreal Canadiens. So I don't know how you feel about that and Artap. What you looking for, what the Montreal need to stay in the race to make the playoff from the support of the team to have a better chance. I know the purpose the Can use Devin is about meaningful game, and we're missing the playoff by 3 points, 4 points, 5, or maybe 2 or 1. It's no matter. They was successful the year because it was meaningful game. I understand that. But to bet a better chance, Mr. what you looking for? What the Montreal need to do to have that chance to be a part of the playoff 2024, 2025?
The important thing, coach, is not to take anything like a solid picture and just look at that picture, right? Like this is a process that we're undergoing, and you see already the huge difference this year between, even though the first line did well last year, and no doubt about it. I think this year they brought it to the next level. But I think the driving force behind all of this is the fact that they now have Hudson on the team, right? He's able to carry the play. He sees the play very well. He sees players that are open. If he develops a shot, it'll make him even more effective. But it means there's less of an onus for the even though they're playing a good back checking game, the top line and the other lines as well, but especially the top line. It puts less of an emphasis on that because you got a puck moving defenseman like him, and also Matheson, and now we're seeing Goulet to a lesser degree, but he could also carry the play, and these guys are helping out for the front line to do well. As I said earlier, Coach, I don't think that third and fourth line. Yes, their analytics have gone down, and so on paper it looks like it's concerning, but they've also been doing a lot of intangibles correctly, right? Like they're still involved. They're a lot of them are on the penalty kill, and we saw earlier their penalty kill is doing fantastic in relation to the rest of the NHL. They're contributing in many other ways, like they're hitting, they're standing up for each other, they're creating opportunities, they're creating loose pucks. Obviously, they're not as skilled as the top line, so a lot of the puck creations that they make for themselves aren't converting to goals. And maybe we were a little bit spoiled earlier on in the year when Galley was scoring and Armia was putting the puck in the net, and definitely Evans was at a higher clip than he is right now. And so you anticipate that to happen the rest of the year, but in reality that doesn't always happen. But are they coming out there? Are they doing their role? Are they filling out their role? And I say that's an emphatic yes, that they are doing that. So I wouldn't put a lot of stock behind the fact that the points aren't there. But what I would agree with, Coach, is the fact that these are small pieces that fit together. Like this year, Hudson and the goaltending and the defense has come together to help out the top line. The top line has continued to do well and probably exceeded expectations in my eyes. And next year will probably be another piece where you're going to probably get a couple of other prospects coming into the lineup, contributing in their ways. We had the opportunity to look at some prospects this year to see if they're ready or not. And I think we have the answers without getting too specific about that. And of course, they're going to go out there. They're going to draft well, I believe. They're going to have 2 picks in the first round. They're going to go to free agency. I think they'll pick up 1, possibly even 2 players that can make the entire picture a little bit clearer. And so that jigsaw puzzle now, as the pieces start fitting better together, you're getting a better vision of just exactly what it is that they're building. And I believe it's something that will be sustainable for many years to come.
Devin, your biggest concern about that for you, for the Montreal Canadiens, or the bottom 6 example, or what are you the most concerned? What do Montreal need to improve or to get better, to have a better chance to make the playoffs?
I don't know that I don't know that I have a ton of concern over it. I think the way the Canadiens are winning right now is very different than the way they won in January. I think in January they won by having offensive contributions from the entire offensive lineup, whereas now I think they're relying a lot more heavily, obviously, on the first line. I do think that the Gallagher, Evans, Anderson, Armia, Heineman, I think those guys do contribute in other ways, right? They're not, their contributions aren't always about offense. I think their contributions come in other ways. We talked about it earlier, about Evans and Armia on the penalty kill, and Heineman bringing energy. Certainly we saw the energy that Heineman brought when he came back into the lineup for the first time after coming back from his car accident. Then he got hit in the side of the head with a slap shot and came back, and the energy that he brings, and the physical component of his game. So again, I think Entertap makes a good point when talks about the fact that maybe we were a little bit spoiled earlier in the year when we were getting such offensive contributions from our fourth line and what have you. And I think realistically there needs to be a bit of a middle ground between what we're seeing from the bottom six and what we saw from the bottom six earlier. But I don't know that I'm greatly concerned about it, because I do think that certainly Gallagher. I don't think we would argue that Gallagher and Anderson and Evans are playing poorly, or that their games have fallen off. It's just I think their offensive numbers have fallen off a little bit. And again, if we can get those numbers to be somewhere between where they are now and then where they were when they were playing so well in January, I think things are in pretty good shape. So I'm not overly concerned about it. The offensive production is obviously helpful. But at the end of the day, I think your bottom six are relied on for, more than just offensive production. And I think those guys are still pulling their weight as far as that aspect of their games are concerned.
Good point about
perhaps
that.
A better question to ask yourself, coaches, even though their numbers are not there, are they hurting the team? And I think the answer is an emphatic no. They're not hurting you.
Right.
They are not hurting. The only reason I will say to you, Mr. Nata, the reason they are there right now is because there are only 3 players carrying the team. And at some point, we need more for the bottom 3. And my concern, honestly, is Emin and Emin for me. Emin right now does not play the same level he did before his injury. And he tried the best he can. But I believe his injury bothered him. And at some point, I don't think so. He showed the same way he was shooting before. He tried to hit very well, but I feel like he has stepped backwards on the skating, like he's late a little bit on the play between that. It's not negative what I want to say. It's just I want to explain he does not play at the same level he was before, and that affect that line. And Jake even play like he was. It's just like he got a month of December, a dream month as a hockey player on his career, right? It's not a player who's going to carry on the team on the point, between that, but he brings some other things inside of the team, and they make Montreal have better as a team together, right? It makes sense. Like it's not make a problem for the Montreal Canadiens, but we would love to him to step a little bit more to helping the first line to sharing more the point on the offensive side. That's what my on this. I just don't like to see the number -4, -5 for the 4 line. Should be your shutdown players, or anything like that, and that's reflect maybe the injury of Armia and Element the last couple of games. But again, nothing major, but it's really good to see Montreal again. But if the first line does not show up, but that show guys a bit problem. They have to relate on the power play, on the PK, and then at 5-5, Montreal is the bottom 6. They're struggling. I want to finish with that, Mr. Nartab, because it wasn't a subject, because that would bring us to the clash after that. You're going to understand a bit more. Montreal Canadiens, Devin, have 16 games to go at the end of the month of March. Ottawa, Islanders, Colorado. 2 huge big games. And the Islanders right now beat the Panthers 3-2, and with 12 seconds to go. So this is 3
never count them out.
Right? This is a huge 3-game on Montreal. Next week, not too bad, but the Blues right now on a good run, and they're on the road. The Flyers and the Canadiens Hurricane back-to-back game, and they play 3 games in 4 nights, and 2 games is Carolina and the Panthers. The schedule at the bottom of the March is not easy. Let's move on now for the April. They play again the Panthers back-to-back game. This time Montreal Canadiens. Boston, where they are on the mix, but it's not like the Boston we knew. And the Flyers, we know who they are. And then the Nashville, the Detroit. Now they have Ottawa, Toronto, a back-to-back game, and then Chicago, Carolina. So it's not an easy schedule, but it's not a bad schedule. And to give you a resume on that, Mr. Nartap and Mr. Devin, 8 games they play against a playoff team. I'm talking about Florida, Toronto, Carolina. You can see most of the time they still have 2-3 games against them. And then there are 4 games in the mix. I'm talking about, example, the New York Islanders, the Boston Bruins. And then there are 4 games in the bottom 5, talking about Nashville, Chicago. So it's not like a difficult schedule overall. The Montreal Canadiens, I believe, Mr. Nartap, they would need to get 91 points, and they have to win approximately maybe 11-6 to get a better chance to make the playoff. And they have 71 points. 11 that gave them 22 points. That gave them now 93 points. But that give you just a bit of schedule. Now I will ask you, I just tease you. Because in the clash, we have a question about the schedule of Montreal Canadiens and the outcome at the end. So, but I want you know this information before you give me an answer. So great performance, both of you, so far for the Montreal Canadiens. We talk about the number, by the number. I will skip that subject because it's really hot in the subject about Patrick Laine, so I don't want to talk about this right now. We're going to move on. We talk about Suzuki, Caufield, everything like that. I don't want to get there. Before the clash, guys, I want to talk about 2 things. The Laval Rocket, and after Devin guy follow very well the Laval Rocket, but he follow really the NHL draft for the, every year. Devin is really involved with the Montreal Canadiens prospect, like I do, but Devin also does, the Imidov, every one of the prospect. They are really know about the Montreal Canadiens prospect. And right now, the Laval Rocket, 2 huge wins during the weekend. They beat Utica twice. After they lose against the Islanders Wednesday, I didn't like that game, but they bounced back. So that's a good thing. They are the top North Division, and they are the top in the American Hockey League. And Farrell, guys, is on fire. We talk about the first time for the Montreal Canadiens, guys. Sean Farrell, you can see there, is shot a release or probably goal for Farrell. He has 24 points in the last 17 games. He has 11 goals, 13 assists. I believe this is the top line in the American Hockey League the last couple of weeks. Farrell with Dauphin and Barry Boulet. He has 2 points at the beginning of the season, guys, and 22 games. This is the maybe the best prospect for the Montreal Canadiens the last couple of weeks in the Montreal Canadiens organization. And everything happening with the American Hockey League players, guys, he took advantage of one thing, Mr. Devin. It's the injuries. Without injuries, I don't think so. Farrell would be way easy right now. He took injury of Gignac and Top and Mézard, and I can go the way. And he's jumped on the opportunity, and he completely another players. The vision, the hockey sense is top notch right now. Of course, he's a 5'10", he's a small gabarit. He's always been that kind of player when he played in the USHL and the Albert University. So I want to hear from you, Devin, specifically about Sean Farrell. How you feel about his performance and the last couple of weeks with the Laval Rocket?
Yeah, I think for the first time in his professional career, he's playing at the level that people thought he was capable of. He obviously was a pretty highly thought of prospect coming out of Harvard, coming out of the NCAA. He was a goal scorer, a point producer, in the NCAA and the USHL. As you say, Coach, a little bit of a smaller guy. I believe he's 5'9", 5'10", 5'9", something like that.
Yeah, 5'9" more at 5'10", but yes, 5'10".
Yeah, and, a smaller guy, and so I mean, I'm kind of, he struggled. I mean, I think we can all agree that he struggled in his first year and a half or so as a pro. As Coach points out, a lot of that had to do with injuries. He missed a significant amount of games last year, and he certainly missed games the year before that as well. But he's a guy who if you would have asked me, 2 months ago, I would have said he's a guy who probably doesn't have much of a chance of making it on the Montreal Canadiens. He's a smaller forward, very offensive driven. He's a guy who probably has to play in the top 6 if he's going to play in the NHL. He doesn't really strike me as a guy who will be able to adapt his game to play in the bottom 6. He doesn't have the physical traits for it, nor does he seem to have the skills and talents for it. He's a scorer, right? He's a goal. Not a scorer necessarily, but he's a point producer. And I think it's going to be hard for him to break into the Canadiens' top six, as things move forward. But again, with the performance that he's put on in the last month or so in Laval, those sort of preconceived notions are being challenged a little bit. And maybe he is a guy who someday could contribute in an offensive way for the Canadiens, and maybe he becomes a bit of a dark horse. Are the Canadiens really interested in having another 5'9", 5'10" guy on their team? I don't think so. I mean, again, it's another reason why he likely isn't going to make a real contribution at the NHL level for Montreal. But again, now he's finally performing at the level that people expected him to, and I think he'll probably at least earn himself a chance to prove himself and see whether or not he can be a part of this team. I think it's going to be a long shot for him to do that, but certainly I think his chances are a lot better now than I would have given him, January 1st, let's say.
Good point about this for the Laval Rocket. Mr. Antap, Devin described very well. I want to share, Sean, the one thing I want you to give us a bit more information. Xhekaj, 17 goals this year, beat the record on the most goals by rookie with Laval Rocket, beat the record of Pierrick Dubé and Lucas Condotta. Both of them in the rookie year, they have 16 goals. Xhekaj scored 17 goals. Xhekaj looking great the last month with the Laval Rocket. And the player took advantage of the many injuries for the Laval. Croteau, guys, 2 W during the weekend. Become the goaltender number 1 of Dartmouth College. They are moving to the semifinal. He won his last 6 W as a goaltender. Croteau is another goalie, 6'4", 6'5", never been recognized because everybody pay attention to Fowler over Duncan. But we have to pay a little bit more for looking for Croteau. Now, you're not going to make NHL tomorrow. So I don't project with him, but it's good to hear they draft a goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens. And they have a good year finally with the Laval, with the NCAA. He's the player left the CHL at 19 years old, by the way. I did not finish the USHL team. I apologize, not CHL, but USHL played with the Waterloo Blackhawks. And he left for play at early age with Dartmouth. Last season, played only a couple of games. So it's fun to see progression. Artus Koivu, finally, get out of the cocoon with 4 points, 3 goals, 1 assist, play on the J20, not on the team TPS or the Liga. Good performance for him. They are on the playoff right now. Ramus Burvis, with an injury when he came back from the World Junior Championship, missed a lot of games, got sent down from the play the J20 also with the team Sweden. And he got a hat trick as a defenseman this week at 4 points during the week for Burvis. Let's hear that. But I want you, Mr. Nartat, talking about Xhekaj before we move to the class show. How you feel about Xhekaj? What you like about his season so far? What do you predict for Xhekaj for the next year? And what do you see him with the Montreal Canadiens? So I know it's a lot of questions to answer, but give us a bit of a about this one over there. And Team Utah score 2-1 against the Canucks, Vancouver Canucks. That's a good news for the Montreal.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, I mean, when we talk about Laval, there's a handful of players that we've seen a drastic improvement in this year and have met expectations and probably even exceeded. And for me, Xhekaj is probably right up there, I would say, in the top 3 on that team that has excelled in every set of circumstances they put him in. At one point, they shifted him over to center. He's playing at the center position now, and he's met the call there as well. He brings, I think he's in the top 4 or 5 as well in penalty minutes. So he brings that physicality to the game, just like his brother does. But I mean, he's so engaging. Like he brings the players around him up to the next level. Like he's not afraid to go to the net. He's not afraid to go in the corners and win battles. And I think that's exactly what we need down the road. I don't think it'll be necessarily next year, but probably the year after when he joins the team in Montreal, because he brings that element that you really need when you go to the playoffs and you have to win, the dirty games, and he can get involved in those kind of things. And again, I'm not talking about the fighting, because the fighting, I mean, that's great that he can stand up for himself and for the rest of the team, but it's in terms of all the intangibles that he can contribute to make the team that much more difficult to play against. With the goalie situations, I think Montreal did a great job over the last 2 years to address that. They probably selected more goalies than they need, but obviously it's always tricky business with the goaltending. You don't know exactly when they will develop, if they will develop. Like we've seen, the roller coaster with Primo over the years that he's been in Laval and in Montreal. And some goalies, they develop at later stages in life than some of the other players, so they don't really come into their prime until they hit like 24, 25 years of age, sometimes even longer. And we've seen that with a couple players that are in the NHL right now that have come through Montreal first. So it's good that they've addressed that. I think that they're well set in that area. You'll have a couple goalies that will emerge and be successors, and if not, at least they give you a fair trade bait for the future and to address areas of need, and that's what I would say. Even I know we passed this topic already, but with Farrell, I don't personally see a position for him here in Montreal, as Devin was alluding to, but I see by him being strong over the last 30, 40 games that it's going to allow him to be a valuable trade chip down the road. So good for him, because even if he's not in Montreal, I think it's great for his career, and good on Montreal because it gives you another asset to deal from or to deal with.
Can I make a quick comment about Xhekaj?
Yeah, sorry about that, Devin. Yeah, you have to. We have time.
Yeah, no, I won't comment about all the players, but one of the things that really, really excites me about Xhekaj is that he's a lot like his brother, right? These are two guys who could barely make it in the OHL. They're not kids who had a traditional route to professional hockey. Like, they're not guys who were born with a pair of skates on and a hockey stick in their hands, who started skating on a pond, behind their house when they were 2 years old. These are guys who came to hockey a little bit later. They're late bloomers, and their trajectory, their progress is very, very steep, right? They improve on a very, very quick and a very, very steep curve. And so if Florian Xhekaj can develop on the same steep curve that Arber has, and he appears to be doing that, and Arber Xhekaj is still improving and becoming more and more every single day. What these guys can accomplish, like where they've come from, where Arber Xhekaj has come from the age of 18 to, I think he's 22 now or 23. The progress that he's made in those 5 years. If Florian Xhekaj can make that same progress, I think you're looking at a guy who's going to have an NHL career. And again, maybe it's not with Montreal, but I think he's a guy who certainly is in the conversation to be a part of, the bottom six for this team, and will get an opportunity to do that if they both continue to improve at the rate that they have already. And they're guys who beat the odds. You can't put a challenge in front of them that they can't take on.
Right.
And they continuously beat the odds. They continuously knock down, their expectations, right? Nobody expects them to be able to do something and then they go out and do it, and then they do it even better. So I'm really excited to see both of those.
It's the manner in which they got to where they are right now.
100%.
Like nothing's ever been handed to them. You're absolutely right, and they've had to work hard just to get where they're at, and they have to continue working hard to sustain it. And that's what you appreciate in players like that. I think the fans really get behind them as well, because they understand that. And I agree. I think both of them will have a future in the NHL.
They're coachable. They work hard. They do all the right things, and they are being they're it's paying off for them. And if that continues, then I think that the sky is the limit for both of these two guys. I don't think they're ever going to be 50 goal scorers or anything like that, but I think they both can create roles for themselves on an NHL team and be guys who have long NHL careers.
Agreed.
Sam Harris can't score a goal, though. Everyone on Denver University has a goal tonight except for Sam Harris.
I just taste Abination, Mr. Nartap, with your matchup on the fantasy.
What's that? Sorry?
It's you're losing by 2 points right now.
Yeah, it's going to come down to my goalie. I think if Seattle wins, I get those 3 bonus points. That's going to be the key.
Winnipeg, Dakar, and Alfred does not play.
Right.
So
you have to go to the card.
Winnipeg.
But the Kraken are winning, though.
That's the good news behind that. So about our subject about that, but it was just we figure out that for Abination, I want to tell you something, Mr. Tap. About this is the time for what, Mr. Tap? The Clash, the best subject of the night. Every night, Devin is all ready for that one. And I it's not because Devin come to the show and try to go around like a prediction. I think it's more fun. So tonight we have a subject, but another subject under the subject, a sub-subject I will send to you guys, because I think it would be more complete, the comments. So not tell me only absolutely or not allowed, but give a little bit more information about the question. I think it will be more informative for the people in the chat, and the people in the chat can tell us what you think about that. After that, we're going to preview the week of Montreal Canadiens. And the winner again! I did it again! Back-to-back week with 4 points. And the Barber will confirm that with Abination was a winner. So let's see with the first one. I will start this time with Nartap this time. Laine signed a deal in 2025. If it's happening, Mr. Nartap, absolutely not allowed. If it's not allowed, you don't have to mention the amount. But if it's happening, what is the target number, Mr. Nartap?
Here's the pen. Go sign it right now. Absolutely, he's going to sign a deal with Montreal. Montreal, I don't think that they're stupid. They realize what they have in Hudson, and just like they did with Slafkovsky and previously Caufield, and previous to that, Gouli and also Suzuki. They want to make sure that their core is signed to the maximum amount of 8 years. And they're going to try to keep it within the confines of what they've established as the target, which is somewhere around 8 million. Now you can make the argument, of course, the salary cap is going up, and so what was, let's say, 8 million for Suzuki now, does that mean it's 9 million for Hudson? I don't necessarily think you look at it that way. I think it also comes down to the players, and I think the players are content to be maintained as a group and a core. And at the end of the day, when you're talking, when you're looking at the difference between, $500,000 to $1 million, it's not a huge thing for these guys, right? Like it's not like a player that's on an entry contract where they're making considerably less than the players that are signed long term. They're content as long as they're on a solid team and they know that they can win. So I would say absolutely signs a contract in 2025.
Good deal about that. What's the amount again? I'm sorry, Mr. Nathan, so the people.
Yeah, I'd say it'll probably be in the neighborhood of maybe 8 to 8.5, somewhere around there.
Perfect. Mr. Devin.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Literally everything you said, Intertap. I think they will run on June. Is it June 1st or July 1st? Whatever it is, I think it's June 1st. They will run with the pen and the paper and try and have a contract for him. I think they will try and sign him sort of within the framework of the internal cap that they've established with the Suzuki contract and the Slafkovsky contract and all of that. I think it'll be an interesting test of the culture. We talked about the culture when it came to Jake Evans, right? Culture over, or will Laine Hudson put a premium or a value on staying in Montreal and being a part of this group and a part of this rebuild, and will he sign an 8-year contract, and will he be willing to take a little bit less? Is somebody out there going to try and scoop him up with we talk about signing offer sheets. Will somebody else come after him with an offer sheet, right? So again, I don't know. I don't know what the number will be. If they can get him for 8 or 8.5 for 8 years, I think that's a spectacular result for the Montreal Canadiens. For a guy who is going to, it appears, is going to be a major contributor to this team for a long time. So I would be happy if he signed. I would say I would be happy if he signed for anything under 10, quite honestly. But again, if they could get him within that that internal cap and get him in that 8.5, even up to 9 range, I think that would be probably pretty good for me as well. And again, what I'm really interested in seeing, I think that if Hudson does sign sort of, for something less than 8.5 and sort of falls within that internal cap as set by Nick Suzuki's contract, then I think it bodes really, really well for, going forward as, other guys, eventually come up for new contracts. And, Hudson will set an example for those guys and will sort of cement that culture that we hear so much about. Excuse me.
I don't know what happened. Bolzer hit someone, then hits him, got hit.
Yeah.
And there was he got a stick inside of that, so I don't know the play. I just see him fall after he hit someone. The Blues lead 6-2. Now the referee have a meeting, mission at tap. They go at the office, like I said yesterday, today. I don't know. A stick after he hit someone. So this is the role of the ice stick. I want to talk about this at some point because some is ridiculous, in my opinion. Good night, Gary. Gary, good night. Have a good day at the driver. At the driver tomorrow. And Devin, the Habs and the playoff, if yes, when can they win the first round?
Can they win the first round?
It's a 2 question at the end, right? If they don't make the playoff, you don't have to answer the second question. If you say yes, absolutely, and the playoff, can they win the first round? You said after that, not at all, or absolutely.
Okay, so maybe I'll take the easy way out and say no, they won't make the playoffs. I'll say that they don't make the playoffs. Probably not a popular opinion. If they do, I think they have a if you make the playoffs, anybody has a chance of winning a round. But especially if it's against Toronto, I think you get Toronto in the first round wouldn't be a bad thing to have happen. But I'll say that they won't make the playoffs. So I'll answer the first question and then avoid having to answer the second question.
Here we go. That's easy. It's not that.
Well, when you look at it, and they're right there right now knocking on the door, and they have a slightly better strength of schedule than the New York Rangers. It's not as good as Ottawa's, because Ottawa right now, I think they have the 30th best schedule from top to down, from tough to least tough. So I think Ottawa pretty much may have solidified, barring any catastrophe, they may have solidified themselves one of the wild cards. So it's really, when you look at it, it's going to be between Montreal, the Rangers, and Columbus. Well, Columbus has kind of fallen off. Like, the nice thing is they don't have to jump over anybody at this point, right? Everything is in their hands. If they continue to win, I think they're going to be in. So I'll go with absolutely. And can they win the first round? Well, this is the NHL of 2025. What have we been screaming every night? Parity. Can they win? Absolutely. Will they? That's a different story. Depends on the matchups and who they're going to be playing first round. But how many people gave them a chance against the Toronto Maple Leafs in 2021? Not too many teams, and yet they came. They didn't only beat Toronto, but they went all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. So I'm going to say absolutely then.
Bleu, blanc, rouge, the Canadiens, Mr. Nortap. I like your answer about that one. Let's go back and Nortap. Once again, resign
Yes.
Patrick Laine if yes, under $7 million. Two
Under
questions, right?
seven.
As you can see tonight, I make under question.
Yeah. It's. I think the verdict is still out. I think when they signed him for the 2 years, it was obviously to fill a role and to also support the team at the position that they were at, and to show them that, as we keep improving, we're thinking about you, and we're going to bring in enforcements, and that's what they did with Laine. And he's had his up and downs through injury. I'll leave it at just injuries right now, but he's had very hot streaks, and then he's been cold at other points in the season as well. So I think it's still part of the evaluation process. They're going to see how he finishes off this year and performs up until the trade deadline time, and then they're going to make the decision at that point. Now, if he comes back and he says, "Hey, I'm willing to stay on for less than $7 million," then I think they do re-sign him. I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean, he's making what, 8.5 or 8.8 right now. So he's saying, he's budging in terms of saying, I'm willing to stay here. I want to be here. I like it here, and I'm even willing to take some money off the table. So I think the Montreal organization will reach out and probably recognize that. I don't think it'll be a long contract. In all fairness, probably a 3 or 4 year contract if it's under 7. But I'm going to go with absolutely.
Before Devin, A2 suggests 2 or 3 years at $5.5 million in our tab. Just showing you.
Yeah, that's. I mean, yeah. If you can get 5.5, I think that's perfect. 2 or 3 years, like I say, it'll be a short. Now, a lot of it will be in Laine's hands, right? Like, is that what he wants, or does he want to cash in one more time, a longer term at approximately the same amount or slightly under than what he's currently making? If that's the case, then guaranteed they're going to let him walk. There's no way I think Montreal brings him in at the same amount and for long term. But if it's as A2 mentioned there, and I alluded to earlier, I think it's a no-brainer. Yes, you bring him back.
And I just want to mention this when I'm talking about Devin resigned Laine. It's not only summer, right? It could be all the way when he finished. He had 1 more year on his contract, right? So
yeah,
I didn't put any date limit as a summer or at the trade line. I think for me, Devin, he come back, and I don't want to give my answer. What I once said to mention to you, it would be the same situation, Laine, to Armia, Evans, and Savard. What he look like at the trade line, are they all in the playoff? If they didn't make it in the playoff, is it better to keep him or not? The rest after the trade deadline, and then after that, they could wait until the summer to see if Laine is worth it or not. So it could be a long process or a little bit longer before they really sit on the negotiation with him. I believe, in my opinion. But sorry, Devin, if I go around, but give you a little bit perspective of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, this is an easy answer for me. I mean, obviously, it's as Entertap says, part of this is going to be in Laine's hands and whether or not he wants to stay in Montreal. That's going to be a big factor to consider. And it's also going to depend very greatly on what happens between now and the end of next year. I don't think they're going to, try to re-sign him this summer. I think they're going to wait and see, and they'll see how things go next year. But again, I don't know on what planet people think that you're going to get a 40-goal scorer for $5.5 million. I don't see very many 40-goal scorers in the NHL getting paid $5.5 million, and that's what Patrik Laine is right now, right? He's got 16 goals in 35 games. So if you extrapolate that over an entire season, that's a 40-goal scorer. And
yes,
so
but remember, Devin, he has to play.
know,
He has to play a 75 game per year. He never do that.
No, fair enough. But even if he plays 50 or 60 games a year, he's still giving you 30 goals, right?
If I give you an example, Devin, like I think we're going to join the same place. Like, think about Sean Monahan, right? The number of points he did last year with the Montreal Canadiens and the last 2 seasons, right? It's almost like 0.8 point per game. But he got only a contract at 5.5, and he got a longevity of the contract at 5 years. Does it make sense?
Well, that's why I think next year will be a big thing, right? Like if he plays, this year he missed 30 games because of his knee injury. Next year if he plays 65 or 70 games and has 35 goals and 25 assists, they're going to re-sign him, and they're going to re-sign him probably for between $7 and $8 million. That's just going to be a fact. The team.
Now the point behind that is you still have 1 year in front of you to see how many games he's going to play. That will make him something like that. Yeah. Right. But are you willing to give him that kind of contract on over $7 million for Laine?
Yeah, if he plays 60 to 70, 60. Let's say he plays 60 plus games next year and performs at the rate that he is right now with the Montreal Canadiens, yes, I don't know if I would give him $9 million that he's making right now, but I would give him between $7 and $8 million in a heartbeat. For a guy who's scoring at a 40-goal pace, if he's, again, it depends on whether he's playing a full season. I'm fully on board with that. But, if he's able to play, 60 plus games and he's scoring at, they're a better team when he's in the lineup, period. Like that's undeniable. Like they win more games when he's in the lineup. He contributes. I know that everyone thinks that, he's only scoring power play goals, but power play goals count, right? And if the Canadiens didn't have as good a power play as they do when he's in the lineup, they would not be 1 point out of a playoff spot right now. And, I get that there's soft spots in his game, but again, if you would have said, at the beginning of the year, everybody was asking everybody, what do you think Patrik Laine will do this year? What kind of player, and if you would have said that he would have, he'd be on a 40-goal pace, then I think everybody would be happy with that. I don't think everybody expected him to be a Selke Award nominee. I don't think everybody, expected him to be the greatest two-way defensive player in the NHL. And I think he's scoring when he's on the ice, when he's playing, he is performing at every level that anybody could have possibly expected him to. And, subject to him, again, suffering some type of injury that made him miss a significant amount next year, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't re-sign him and why they wouldn't re-sign him for $7 or $8 million.
Look, there's many ways in which if the management really wants to hang on to him and he wants to come back, there's many ways that you can be very creative in terms of how you approach the re-signing, right? You can make it, for starters, you can make it front-loaded, right? So that if in two or 3 years you want to trade him and the contract is manageable to trade, that'll happen. You can put in bonuses so that when you look at the salary cap hit, it's not much, but if he hits those plateaus of whatever you want to set at, if he hits 30 goals, he gets an extra $1 million. If he hits 35, 40, and so on. So there's many options you can have in play here, and I think that if both sides really want it, it could happen. I don't doubt that, but I think still, Coach, it's an evaluation year until the trade deadline time comes, and then a decision will be made in a similar fashion that we did with some of the players this year, and same thing will happen with Doc.
Good point about that. I think it's about evaluation. I think you have to be patient to see what you show up next season, what you show for the Montreal Canadiens, and from that you have to figure out what it would be more benefit. I don't want to go in details, but tomorrow night I will maybe go there. Like, I don't know if you can get $8.7 million a plus maybe to another specific player in NHL versus Patrick Laine, if he considers to be the same Patrick Laine he is for the last 5, 6 years. And I think for him, next season, it's a bit like Kirby Duck, right? Kirby Duck, we expect
Yeah.
him to play X number of games to show he's not injured. A little bit what we're looking for Kenan Cody. Same thing with Patrick Laine. Can he put a season 60 plus game in NHL? We'll see next season. Devin, the Habs should sign Bennett $8 to $9 million.
I mean, if they can sign Sam Bennett to an $8 million contract, to an $8 million contract, I think that they should definitely give that a lot of thought. Like he would be beneficial to the team. I don't know that they'll be able to get him in that range. I think I think he's probably going to be looking for more than that. Certainly more than that to come to Montreal, right? He's leaving Florida, leaving a tax-free state. I think it would be hard for Montreal to get him at $8 million, but if they can, if that's a possibility, if $8 to $9 million is a possibility for Sam Bennett, I think that's something that they should give a lot of thought to. 28 years old, is that right?
Yeah.
20.
Yeah.
28, it's on 29.
Yeah, so that's right on the line. Again, do you want to have a guy who's 36 years old making $9 million a year? The contract maybe not. Again, but that might be what you need to do to get him. I think I think he's going to get that from somebody. He's probably going to get more than that from somebody. So, yeah, I'll say absolutely. If that's a possibility. To get Sam Bennett at between $8 and $9 million, I'd say they could go for that.
I just want to clarify two things in the chat, guys. So that people says sign Patrick Laine plus bonus. Just remember, guys, every time you have a bonus performance, not a sinus bonus, but a bonus performance, that amount is additional to the next year for the team. So if you add $4 million, he get $4 million for the Montreal game at the end of the year because he reached those kind of performance. But the $4 million is add the following year on the salary cap for the Montreal Canadiens. And second thing I said to you guys, remember the Sam Bennett Panthers, the only thing they have to be careful or they have to figure out, and I don't know the answer, is if they sign Bennett, that push again Andon Landell still at the third center. So at some point they will have to figure out, is it better to have a Bennett or to have a Landell, or of course both of them, and they go there. I think this would be the case. Myself, that could possibly Landell become a winger on the top six at some point. But again, people said he will sign in Florida. I believe he will, but at some degrees, he have to figure out what would be the cost of the Bennett with the Florida Panthers. So I just want to open the door about that, Mr. Otap. So I apologize for that. Vancouver guys losing 2-1 with 45 seconds to go. Huge W of the Utah if they make this happening. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and St. Louis winning, and Utah is fighting with Vancouver for that spot. And I think those are huge games tonight for sure. Well, Coach, you know where I stand on this. Like I've said it so many times. Like we keep screaming, like we need the type of players that will get you through the playoffs, right? And Bennett to me is exactly the prototype type of player that will do that for you. Now, will he sign for 8 to 9? I mean, I agree with Devin. If you can get him at that point, definitely jump at it. I think it's a bit of a moot point because I think Florida will end up signing him. Right now, they're in contract negotiations with him right now. So at some point, I think he's going to obviously re-sign with Florida. So, but somebody like that is exactly what we need. Somebody that brings the experience. He brings the kind of truculence that you need in the playoffs. He's played on a Stanley Cup winner. And he comes at the right age, just at the top of the right age in terms of to fit well with the mold of the team that we've established and created here moving forward. So, yeah, I would jump at it if you can get him for that amount of money.
Wow, interesting, guy. With the W tonight, Utah are only 2 points behind the Vancouver Canucks. Mr. Nartap.
Yes.
The
And
Blues
Gary
win
Bettman's
tonight.
very happy.
The Blues win tonight. Now they have same number of Canucks, but 2 game in hands, 1 game in hands for the Canucks guys. So not a good news for the Flame behind that. And the Flame cannot be at the bottom 10. So Flame have to win at some point for them. They want to stay in the race for that. So good question there. Mr. Nartap, we have 2 to go a little bit, guys. We'll get a little bit quicker if you don't mind.
Did you
NHL.
answer, Cole? Did
Yeah.
you answer? What's your answer?
For Bennett, no.
Yeah. No.
No, not at all. $8 to $9 million. I think we need a little bit better overall for that.
We keep forgetting one of the other luxuries. It's not just the draft picks that we've accumulated, the prospects that we're developing. The other thing that we're going to have in our camp that works for us is we're going to have a large amount of money at our disposition. So right now, yeah, okay, I can see why you're saying 8 to 9 million is a lot of money, but I think it's a small price to pay for what you need to add to that puzzle that we were speaking of earlier.
I agree with you. The NHL decide the minimum point you need is 91 points to make the playoff this season. To this happening, I believe Montreal is 71, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
We're missing 20 points. They are right now 16 to go. That we need at least 10 W, 6. Is it possible? If you said absolutely, I would like to see what the record you think Montreal need more or you expect they have to need to get that. That's the reason I showed the schedule early, guys, to look a little bit better what they look like, the schedule versus the results. So on that one, Mr. Nartap.
Is it possible? Absolutely. I don't see why not. If they continue, especially to play in the fashion that they've been playing since the Four Nations, and right now that motivation is there. They see it. They see it in their grasp. Like I said earlier, they have to continue to win. In terms of their, as I was saying earlier, their strength of schedule, it ranks number 17 right now. So that's right in the middle of the pack. So that lends itself more to, something slightly above 500. And 10-6 is not impossible. So I'm going to go with absolutely. It is possible.
10-6, is that good enough to make it, or you think we need
I,
more
I
11-5?
think I think it will be for the second wild card. I think you're looking at about 91, 92 points. The only thing that's a bit difficult is the fact that they don't have the same number of regulation wins as Ottawa does, or I think with the other teams, they might be tied right now. I think they all have about 20. I want to say 23 regular wins, regular time wins. So they're battling with that. Like, not only do they have to win, but they have to try to win in regulation time.
Yeah. Devin.
I mean, it's certainly possible. Is it likely? I don't know. You went through the schedule earlier, and it's not an easy schedule. There's finding 10 wins in that amongst those games is tough. So I mean, it's entirely possible that they get to 10-6. I mean, as you know, I predicted multiple weeks ago that they would finish with 86 points. Which means they would need 15 points between now and the end of the season, which is basically a 500 record. I am going to say, again, if you're asking me if it's possible, absolutely. If you're asking me if they are going to do that, I am going to say not at all.
Not at all?
I'll say not at all.
Jazz was at the game against Vancouver Canucks. Was at the game. Jazz was at the game against Vancouver Canucks. Last one. This is a prediction, Mr. Devin. So I know that he's on your backyard. So I say he's going to like it. Nothing. So Nathan McKinnon, the MVP, absolutely not at all.
Who you asking?
Devin.
These are, yeah. Wow. I am going to say not at all. He won it last year. They're going to want to give it to somebody different. Draisaitl, I think, is it's so, the MVP is such a weird award because I mean, you could argue, like, on what planet could anybody who's on the same team as Connor McDavid win the MVP. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, I don't think he wins it. I think it goes probably to Leon Draisaitl. I think it's going to be a long shot for McKinnon to win it.
Good. Mr. Natap.
I will say absolutely. I mean, he has been the definition of what a leader should be. Number one, he's like, I know that they've made a number of changes on the team for Colorado to fortify them going into the playoffs, and now they look very solid with three very good centermen down the middle. But even before, I mean, you would expect a team that had the kind of holes that they did. Middlestat was not working out with them. That team would be dropping off, but they didn't. On a almost a continual basis, he put the team on his back, and he continues to show that he's an elite player that I think merits it. I mean, I think it is between him and Draisaitl this year. I don't see like guys like McDavid or Kucherov at this stage becoming part of that conversation. They're just slightly a step behind this year for different reasons. But I think McKinnon really has had to drag this team along, and he's done exactly that. So I will say absolutely.
Interesting. You need not, nobody talk about this in the chat, and you guys, both of you. I was expect someone step up for Connor Hellebuck. I think the number of Hellebuck are better at both of them. Not say he will get it, but if you look about the number by number for what McKinnon is and what Hellebuck bring right now,
yeah, that's a valid point.
Have a better chance to win MVP. So I said not at all. But that said, both of you are, not wrong. I think you bring a lot of great point about them that they're going to get it or not. But the people in the chat also talk about Tressaro, like Devin. So, but I was thinking maybe possible Hellebuck have a good chance to get that MVP at a Carey Prize a couple of years ago. At the end of the day, guys, two things I'm looking for on the playoff. Well, a couple of things. First, it's the Hellebuck wall at the playoff round number 1, right? The Leaf round number 1. The Carolina Hurricane round number 2. The Colorado can they pass the Dallas and the Jet this season? A lot of things like that. And then the Edmonton Oilers can they surge at the end of the year like they did last year to go there. And of course, the division playoff of the first round and the Atlantic division will be huge. The Central will be huge. So a lot of grace coming, guys, for the playoff in the NHL the next couple of weeks. We cannot believe it, Devin and Renata. Devin joined our show, guys, at the middle of the year. But right now, we are almost at the end of the year. Like five more weeks, that's it, that's all, guys. And but Montreal Canadiens gave us, guys, a really good run this season. And we have to give credit for all the Montreal Canadiens team. Like we do at the end of the show, guys, the time and your turn to give us your prediction on Montreal Canadiens. Last week, I apologize, but Coach is on fire right now. Run with Kings, PLW, Abination, Claude Richard, and Randy Walkman are the winner of the 4 point last week. Marco Larrabee, we give him... Marco Larrabee, we gave him 3 points. And then we gave Devin I think Devin was 6 points, and after I go with 5 points last week. So that's the number to buy bubble. So we're going to repeat the equation, guys, for the chat to the people, and also Devin. And that would be nice this week. I'm going to give the opportunity at Devin this week to get a number to point for the Montreal Canadiens. They all play Ottawa at home, Islanders on the road, and back again for Colorado Avalanche. So not an easy week about that. So, Mr. Devin, you are the one.
4 points. I'll take the 4.
4 points for Devin, ladies and gentlemen. And after that,
I'm going to go with 5. I think they're motivated. They're going to do it this week. 5 points.
I'll go with 3.
Of course.
About that. And Marco is go with 4. So we're going to give him a Marco of 4 like Devin. So he said, I have to go that one for sure. A2 go with 3. Good to hear that. Stan the man is in the house. Stan go with 3. Nicolas, guys, go with 1. And then Nicolas is very pessimist for Nicolas. We don't give a lot of points for the Montreal Canadiens for next week. Francois Pitt go with 4, guys. Francois Pitt with 4. And then we have Abination Islanders with 2. Win 2 and loss, OT loss. Abination, can you give me just a number of the point? I don't want to explain. I don't know, like win 2 OT loss. So I missed it 2 point, maybe. I don't know.
Abination will send
26-5.
you some music.
Yeah, he go around the pot right now. So I don't know why. 6 point, Arber Xhekaj, Mr. Nortap. You should love Arber Xhekaj, the optimist about that. LDP go with 3 point next week. Pizza go with 4. Even you open the door with 4. Claude Richard go with 4 this week. Winner of the last week for Claude Richard. Certainly from Ottawa. Jazz go with 4. Welcome back, Jazz. We miss you, buddy. Hopefully you're doing well. Billy go with 6, Mr. Nortap. Billy.
Go, Billy.
Triple W go with 2. Had nobody at 2, so well done, Mr. Triple W. About that, I think you're possible to get there. Montreal is playing for 500 guys for the last couple of weeks. Tristan go with 4 about that. And we have also Luc Fortin. Welcome back in the chat, guys. Don't forget, please, to click on the likes. We appreciate it. Abination 1 is the long list number. So he follow Nicolas, Mr. Abination, Mr. Nartap, about him. And Luc Laverson, Mr. Nartap.
1.
1 point. Yeah. Now,
Yeah,
Abination
sorry,
change, guys. Now, Abination go with 4. So I apologize for that. Abination is not easy to follow about that one. Will be
Can I give you
nice.
a range?
Be nice, sir. A2. A lot of people participate, guys. Thanks so much, everybody. Pete Martin got with 5 points last week. Coach Montreal got 5 points last week. No. No. They beat the Vancouver Canucks and they beat the. Oh, they got 5 points last week.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Yes,
they
did
lost
get
again the Kraken, guys.
in overtime.
Yeah. So they finished with They finished with 2-0-1.
Yes, 5 points.
There we go.
Who are
Pete
your
is
new
right
winners,
on that
Coach?
one. Pete is right on that one. The winner last week, guys, in our tap and N26 are the winner of the contest last week. And Pete Martin, we're going to give credit for Pierre Martin. Pierre Martin, you win tonight
boy.
about that one over there. And me and Devin,
Way to
we
go, Pete.
contest.
You're the man, Pete.
Not very happy about that.
Intertop got to go first.
Yeah. Pete
No, I
Martin,
think you went first.
Pete Martin with 5. I told you yesterday, Coach, 5 point A2. I apologize, A2. Yesterday I was on fire with Charles, so A2 I did not see a lot. I will tell my story about my mom, so on that one. So I apologize for that one for sure on this one. So a lot of people participate. Thanks so much, everybody, and congratulations for saying that tap again at the last minute win. And I lost again. That's okay. Not a big deal about that. What a great show, guys. And you guys, you rock. Devin, again, you consist rocking. And again, follow guys, Devin. I crossed the 300 subscriber. And I apologize to Devin, guys. I wish I could have more time to go your show after the game. It just hanging there here for. But I stop by, I click on the likes, and then I try to go behind the door, and I pop up, I do other things. But I just want to let you go, guys. You can follow Devin every night after the game, of the Montreal game after dark at the Recliner Sport, right, Mr. Devin?
Recliner Sports 4. Yeah, you can just Google or just Google. Go on YouTube and look up Recliner Sports, and you'll find us. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers so we can do all the fun stuff that Coach does. We'll get there eventually.
From Luciano, Mr. Antap, you got only 2 points last week, so you did not win, by the way. So I just want to let you know about that one.
Coach, why don't you ask Luciano how are the Leafs doing?
Yeah. Luciano, and Antap said to you, that's the number, the point that Toronto Maple Leafs got last week. Here we go, guys. Great show, everybody. Glad to see you. A lot of new people in the chat. Tristan, David, was great to see you. All the people. And 26 was on fire tonight. And don't worry, I'm going to talk about Patrick Laine the next couple of days. So don't worry about that. It was just not the time to do it. Too many things to talk about tonight. The show without them would be impossible to be great. I'm talking about Enartap and Devin. And the show with all the people, Moderator Ron, Luciano, Danny T, back in the house from New Orleans. Danny T right now on the tour of the 2025 preparation spring before he get really hard the summer time. Summer he work more in the Canada, so winter time work more in the USA. But Danny is the top of this game as a singer of the Johnny Cash behind the door. So that's all for tonight, guys. You are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you. It's fun to be back in shape. It's fun to feel good about your body. And I'm glad to be back with all of you guys. Devin, and then after that, your last word of the week. What are you looking for this week for the Montreal Canadiens? I'm going to start with Devin on that one.
I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow and seeing how, we talk about being in the mix. Tomorrow is as in the mix a game as you're going to see. And I'm excited to see how the team responds and how they stack up against a fellow playoff contender like Ottawa.
Yeah, I'm sorry about this, Mr. Natal. Before you said your last word, we want to say happy St. Patrick for all the people, guys, the Irish people. You deserve it. Be in green. My last St. Patrick, it was at Deerfield Beach, Mr. Natal. It was a tough one. From 10 p.m. until 2 a.m. 14 hours on the beach and on the bar at the TB at Deerfield Beach in Florida. That's the last remember on my St. Patrick Day. And I don't know why, Mr. Tap. I think I have some problem with my eyes with colors. I wear a red jersey, a white shirt on the St. Patrick Day. So everyone was going to tell me, why red? I'm from Canada.
Don't worry.
Don't worry about that.
Don't worry. After they drink enough, everything looks green.
I think I finished green. I finished with a green shirt, Mr. Tap. So what are you looking for this week? The music will be over. Don't worry about that.
Well, as they say in the WWE, bring it on, Ottawa. Bring it on.
Here we go. Ottawa, the biggest game of the year between the Montreal and Ottawa Senator. And of course, I can wait to watch it. We'll be live at Tuesday night for the Montreal game. It'll be live also tomorrow night. Check your notification. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to click on the likes. We want to thank both of you. We wish an amazing, great night for both. And of course, a great week. Glad to see you, Devin, back at home. And you better, I'll be better. And glad to see you, Mr. Antap, pop up now back at the school tomorrow morning. And your first day at school for the remaining of the end of the year at the school in Toronto. So have a great night, both of you.
Good night. Thank you. And good night, Hockey.
Oh, by the way, I'll go to get there. Be well, yes. Be well. Fine will not only dominate the
I knew something was off.
David is so excited about the 2025, so I have to do it. Be well. Find a way not only dominate the first half of the year, Mr. Natap, but what we're looking for.
The best out of your 2025.
Exactly, Devin. We wish you an amazing great night. And Mr. Natap, we'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks so much, both of you.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Here we go. That's conclude another weekly recap of the Montreal Canadiens. Jeremy Ella is on the house. Welcome back. Thanks for all the likes. Whatever we agree, whatever we disagree, whatever we don't like what we said sometime versus someone, the only thing we're looking for here is to do it with respect because we are only one things all in common. We are one family and we are all together. And that's the most important thing about this channel, guys. We bring some friendship for relationship. We're sharing the knowledge about hockey. We're personal notes sometimes. But the most important thing for me, guys, you bring happiness inside of that chat. That's the most important thing. So sometimes if you feel uncomfortable or you feel like you're upset about what I said or someone said something, guys, don't take it personal. Don't try to leave the building because you don't feel good about that. It's happened sometimes. Just stay humble and say, you know what? It's okay. Tomorrow is a new day. The sunshine will be back and be a light to someone. I think many people right now in the world struggle, and I think we can become a light for anyone. And sometimes, guys, you're thinking you cannot make it friends, you cannot make an impact. You're absolutely wrong. Sometimes just to listen someone, sometimes just sharing a point of view to someone, just to remind them how much you love them, how much you care about them, how much you want to serve someone, make an impact, a huge impact. And you have no clue sometimes what it takes. Sometimes we have difficulties with financial, we have mental, we have physical, and many of us are struggling. So my point of view is this, guy, is now don't hesitate to helping someone and sharing something you have inside your heart because you are not only a spiritual person, you have greatness inside of you. I wish you an amazing, great night, everybody. I wish you an amazing, great week. I can't wait to see you tomorrow night at 8:30. And the music is over. And like I do at the end, guys, I leave you always on that one. The Hockey Nation, I'm sure the Ab Nation want to tell you one more thing. We love you, friends. Thanks, moderator. Thanks, Arber Xhekaj. Thanks, the co-host. Thanks for all of you. Click on the likes or just to be here. That's the most important things. Whatever you are coming from all around the world, just to be in the chat and sharing your knowledge about hockey and your point of view. That's the most important things. Until the next time, my friend, it's coming. Here we go. We have to pop up. Booyah! Peace out.